At least 93 U.S. mutual funds have completely dumped their positions in Facebook this year over rising concerns about the social media giant's declining profit margins and their reputation. Funds that sold Facebook are now turning to investments like Visa and Pepsi. Facebook shares are down 21% this year, but is this a big overreaction, all the bad press, or a bigger sign of Facebook's daunting future? Let's ask Dave Maney. He is the CEO and founder of Digital. Good to see you, Dave. So how important is it that these funds are dumping Facebook?
It's a sign of something worse, and I think that worse is an underlying brittleness in Facebook's business. And that brittleness is that its hold on users is surprisingly delicate. So there was this kind of time when it seemed like it was Cheers, you know, everybody knew your name when you showed up, and it was a place that was full of good feelings, and you trusted them enough to put your baby photos and your pet photos on. But it's turned into this thing now that it seems like a bar full of drunks with people fighting and with a bartender who's sort of taking your money and not giving you change back and who will not give you the drink that you ask for, even though you said you wanted this. And I believe that notion that it's a must-have in the way that some other digital platforms are, I think, is going away. And that brittleness is what those fund managers are reacting to.
I mostly agree with what's going on at the company, but I'd say this. First of all, Facebook doesn't lack for capital, right? So it sort of doesn't matter in an existential sense if these 91 managers own the stock. I think there'll be a bottom for this stock because there'll be a bottom for this company. You know, if I, for example, don't use Facebook anymore, I'm mad at them for a variety of reasons. But I listen to my wife talk about her high school friends that she's seeing. A lot of people continue to find utility with the product, and they have other products, by the way. So my sense is at some point they clean up their act and it finds a financial bottom and different fund managers own it, or these ones come back in.
I think the question is, I mean, what is the real tip-off that Facebook really has had a blow to its model? In other words, is it declining number of users in North America? Are we going to be looking at less ad revenue coming in? What should we be looking for to really indicate that all of these problems, the antitrust discussions and the lack of trust, et cetera, has really made a dent in their business?
Liz, here was my take on this situation. Yeah. Facebook, like the other FANG stocks, obviously have had exponential growth for a long period of time. That is now pulling back, right? So it's not like they're not growing. They're just not growing at the same rate they have been.
True.
But here's another test that I use. I have 3 young daughters, okay, who are all over social media. None of them have a Facebook account.
Yeah, they're on Instagram.
They're on Instagram,
they own,
and they're
right?
on YouTube, and they're on Snapchat.
Right.
But they're not on Facebook. So I do think you're going to start to see growth slow after a period of time. I mean, the world only has so much of a population.
Yeah, but let me just so look. I'm no fan. I basically agree that that's the trend that's happening. But as Liz was pointing out, Facebook owns Instagram. So if we were talking about another company, we'd say that's very good news. The main product is you know, no one wants to buy Cadillacs anymore, but they are buying Buicks. I don't know, terrible example, but you get my point. Also, the bit about young people not being on Facebook, that's not new, and that's why they bought Instagram, for example. That you should give them credit for that.
5 years ago, I wrote a piece essentially saying social media is becoming a fashion business, meaning that there isn't that kind of hold or that kind of grip. So you're right, Instagram now has that grip, but there is similarly no guarantee at all that it's going to keep that grip. And my guess is that the experience that all of you are having is the same one where less and less people that you want to be in contact with seem to be showing up on the platform. I believe that's
a negative network effect.
That's what I'm really trying to get at is what should we be worried about? What I worry about with Facebook is the next time there is an Instagram that really begins to take market share away from them with a new platform, that they will not be allowed to buy it. That some agency here or in Europe is going to say, no, antitrust issues now really apply to this company. You're not going to be allowed to make that acquisition.
If there's one industry that we don't need to worry about antitrust, it's the digital age companies. I mean, this is such a hyper-competitive industry. I just think
not if you buy up all your competitors. It's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
yeah. But if but Liz, you were asking.
You're not suggesting, Liz, that we go into antitrust against Facebook, are you?
Well, I'm just saying, I think a lot of, in Europe, they've been talking about that, certainly with Google and with Facebook.
That's because they can't build a better mousetrap. You know, I
No,
mean,
it's true.
Well, they'll be, look, I think they'll be regulated, probably not in a traditional antitrust sense. They'll be regulated, for example, on the privacy issues and the severe privacy problems that they have. Liz, you're looking for a metric. I think, as Dave suggests, it's certainly possible that you'll see declining user numbers from Facebook at some point. They're not experiencing that now. And remember, we have to keep in mind here, this is a company that continues to print money. It's a very successful financial model. But if you want to see negative growth on users, that would be your tip-off.
It feels to me like it has begun to move into the realm of a sin stock. Right? Where suddenly it feels like you're not supporting anything good. And in an era of ESG investing and social responsibility, even among fund managers, I could easily see a place where they say, in addition to whatever underlying network and business was, where they start to say, you know what, this is a little too hot of a potato, just giving more momentum.
Any signs that advertising has begun to pull back a little from it or pay less for ads?
No, you know, the ad numbers are still good, but remember, that is a function of what has been. And if you look forward, and if this great discussion about what happens if a negative network effect kicks in, that can go in a second, and competitors are not at all standing still.
But I would add to the point that just like any other maturing business, it's going to be subject to more regulation. There's just no doubt that's coming. That regulation will slow growth and take it less from a view of, let's say, a sin stock, though. Yeah. It's going to be regulated like any other industry.
It's coming. Why else would Silicon Valley companies come to Washington and play nice with President Trump? I mean, there's no other explanation except for that. Thank you, Dave. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming in.